Hello, everybody. We made it. Welcome to That GD Show. We are down a D, unfortunately. Dave cannot join us tonight. He is doing well, but his internet is terrible. So he is not here. So it's That G Show, I guess, with John. You are both guest and co-host. How are you?
I'm just thrown into the deep end. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm so stoked that we get to have you. I will do the super quick, all of the housekeeping. Like and subscribe. I don't really know what that does, but we appreciate it. It makes me feel better. Boosts my ego. This is also a call-in show. We usually have the number like down here at the bottom, but we don't tonight. So really testing my memory. You can call 217-375-9933. Boom.
Nailed it.
Will. Yes, I did. I usually, I always have to cheat. But now I got it. So that's great. So yeah, if you have any questions, if you want to chit chat, if you want to fill in for Dave, just give us a call. We've got awesome people in the chat who are going to put that number there, so you don't have to rewind and listen back. So that is that. I usually have Dave to prompt me. Oh, even though he's not here, if you did not know, Dave has a Patreon, and it would be super cool if you could check that out and support him. Maybe you can help him raise enough money to sue his ISP. I don't know. Just putting it out there. Not a lawyer.
Might help.
Might help. Just kidding. They will never do anything for the people. That's okay. And I think the only other thing that I have to say, I guess, is that we do have super chats, and we do really appreciate that too. If you're not ready to commit to a monthly Patreon, you can send us money in the chat, and we will read your comments, whether or not they're appropriate. But try not to get us banned. And no mug this week, unfortunately, because I don't know a quote or a trivia question from Dave's book, but you should still read Dave's book, and I will make sure that next time he is on that we will have a trivia question, and if you get it right because you read his awesome book, then you get a free mug, and everybody wins. Speaking of super chats, Kim Possible with your 666, hi Genevieve, hi John. Leaf be upon you, and also upon you. Thank you so much. Alrighty, I think that's housekeeping time.
Well done.
3 minutes. Not bad.
That's good. Yeah. Nailed it.
Yeah. This is fantastic. So, just before we went live, we were talking about you living in the U.S. and the Bible Belt, which is not where you're from. You don't sound like you're from the South.
No, I'm definitely not. No. So I met my wife online, which is this whole thing. I know Dave through TikTok because whilst I was still living in the UK, he did a live, and I just went on and started messaging random things and said, I'm actually moving to America in the next couple of years because my wife at that point was my fiance, lives in America. So I'm going over there. So that we just got talking through TikTok and me saying, I'm moving there. How bizarre. But yeah, so my wife and I met online and did the long distance thing. And then I moved here because it's easier for me to move because she's got a child. So that's now why I live in Kentucky of all places.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah, that's a silly thing. I don't know your relationship with TikTok, but I like deliberately like boycotted it for the longest time. I was like, I'm not going to download that app. It seems so stupid. It's just, kids dancing and trends that I don't understand. And then you get spied on and, it's not like I've got the secret to the universe on my phone, but it's still not cool. It's not cool. But yeah, when I did get on, that's exactly how I met Dave as well. He found me, and
Right.
2 weeks after my first video, and we
Oh, wow.
started doing this.
That's awesome.
So,
And that's actually how I've seen you as well, through obviously TikTok. I'm not very good at TikTok though. I tried for a while, and one of my videos got banned because somebody didn't agree with something I'd said, and I just gave up on it. So I went back to YouTube.
yeah, that happens. That happens. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm good at the TikTok thing, because
Sure.
I don't do by the time I think, oh, maybe I could do this trend, it's already like 2 weeks too late.
Sure.
And I've also just been really busy. I got 2 jobs, I got a whole life, dogs,
Right.
and this, and so yeah, I should get back on there at some point.
I mean, it is fun every now and then. I prefer YouTube. You can
Yeah.
do stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, this is very true. I would say that I prefer YouTube, except I feel like I might just be saying that because it's so easy for me, because we've got fantastic volunteers, call screeners, producers, people like Ethan, all of these folks that make my life so much easier. I just show up, and it's very much appreciated. And it is a lot more work to put out YouTube videos than it is to just hold up your phone and start talking.
That's fair. That's
So,
fair.
yeah, it is much appreciated. But so it's interesting. So, moving to Kentucky from the UK, I'm assuming that you were already an atheist or a skeptic well before you moved. You didn't just show up and say, "Oh no."
No, right. No, I've pretty much been an atheist all of my life. I grew up in a spiritualist family. So it wasn't really God belief, it was dead people belief and speaking to spirits. And my family pushed me into looking into mediumship and becoming some kind of medium. I now realize that I suffered quite a bit of emotional trauma as a child and heard voices. And whenever I'd say this to my family, they would just tell me that I was a clairaudient and I could hear dead people. So I, for a long time, believed that I could hear people and eventually I'll be able to converse with them, which was terrifying as a child. And that made me terrified of the dark because I was worried that dead people were going to come out and talk to me and I wasn't ready for it. So I spent a long time with that kind of belief and just being scared of dead people coming to talk to me. But I got to a point when I was like, okay, I'm ready to look into this now and I'm ready to actually converse with these supposed dead people. And as I started looking into it, the more I realized how much of a load of rubbish it was. So that's where I was. I never really believed in a being that overlooked the afterlife, but I believed that there was something for a long time. Probably about what's it, about 20 years ago now, I stopped believing fully. I'm nearly 40, so yeah, I was around 20. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's that's the crazy thing about, being a child. It's that, you're kind of you're dropped literally from people onto this planet, and then you just listen to whatever they have to say. And so if you are being told, "Oh yeah, no, those are just dead people," then
Right.
why would you question that?
Exactly. Yeah. You trust these people because they are your family. They're going to tell you the truth or what they believe is the truth. And so you just accept that. And it was hard stepping away from it because I wanted so much to believe that there was something that happened to us after we died. There was one specific moment that switched me. I like to run. And a big group of us would go running each week, and there was a big 10K, not big, it's only 10 kilometers, but a friend of mine was horrifically overweight. He would say that, his words, not mine. He would say he was horrifically overweight. And so we all trained to do this 10K. And 100 meters, I'm going to say it in meters because I'm British, sorry. 100 meters from the finish, he collapsed and had a heart attack and died.
Oh.
And I was still in the zone of like, okay, I can maybe believe that I can talk to the dead. I'm going to try and find him whilst his body's laying there and look around and see if I can get him to go back into his body. Because I was still like, maybe this is real. And I was standing there and I went, if Russell's going to have died here and I can do this, I know that he's going to come and talk to me. And I looked for ages. I obviously didn't see him because it's not real, as far as we can tell. And so scanning, and a friend of mine was at the time performing CPR. He was a trained medic, and Russell came back to life after 7 minutes of being dead. And that moment I went, well, he was dead, but he didn't come out of his body. I can't really believe that this is a thing anymore. Of all the people that would definitely come and talk to me if they were dead, Russell would be the person to do it, and he didn't. So that was the defining moment for me. When I went, nah, I don't believe this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a defining moment. It's
Right.
very, very seldom do people, I don't even want to say get the opportunity, because that doesn't seem like the right thing, but
Right.
to be literally faced, I mean, with that situation. And I guess I'm grateful that you had a medic friend who could perform CPR, because I
Right.
mean, if you want to talk about various ways that we can test the claims and the validity of certain things, here is one person doing something, and I'm
Right.
grateful that everybody wasn't just looking around in the ether to try to reel him back. But you know, it's also one of those things we can joke about. Like we joke about this stuff all the time, like some of the crazy beliefs. But I'm
Right.
sure that for you in that moment, I mean, that
And
was
I
a
panicked as well.
very
That's all I felt I could do, because I didn't know CPR at the time. I've since learned how to do it so that if it happens again, I know. But at that moment, the only thing I knew that I was confident in doing was speaking to a dead person to get them to go back to their body. And obviously I couldn't, because it didn't happen. So yeah, it was a scary moment. Since I asked him, what was it like in that moment? He said, I just didn't see anything. I was asleep and then awake. That's all it was.
Wow.
So straight from the horse's mouth there.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you die. Nothing.
Oh gosh, he could have used that opportunity to
Mhm.
start a whole new religion.
Right. He was he's a very outspoken atheist, and
Mm.
he even scoffed at me, because we'd have conversations. I'd talk about the afterlife and spirits and things, and he would go, "John, come on, no." So then not seeing him, and him coming up and saying nothing happened, you kind of take his word for it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he's fairly trustworthy source.
yeah, right, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We do have another super chat from our very faithful fan, Greg Markowski, 1999 every week. Here is a little something to upgrade Dave's internet. You are the best. Thank you so much. And I want to get back more to your story and your journey, but we do also have a call in the queue
Let's do it.
that we could take. Okay, this is from Alex, he, him in Michigan. I want to talk about the new Answers in Genesis headquarters in Kentucky.
Oh,
John, what are your thoughts? Let's get him on.
let's get him on.
Alrighty. Hey, Alex, you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, how are you doing? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, no problem. I actually was just on with John on Friday on the Student Active Events Trivia, and I saw this news article about AIG, and I figured I'd chime in.
Good for you. What have you got? Because I haven't. I've been watching the soccer all day, so this is me finding out for the first time.
Yeah, so up near the border of Ohio by Cincinnati, AIG announced they just bought Toyota's old corporate headquarters up there for like $31 million. And I know someone who worked there when it was Toyota's complex, and they said they paid that much for that dump. Like questioning. And yeah, AIG is insane. And, I know some of your videos, you've done the picking apart of AIG. So just kind of going off of what you think about,
Sure.
You're going to make a trip up there. You're going to do some live videos up there. Just, any content.
Part of me really wants to go and visit, because I'm really close. I'm an hour away from Cincinnati, so I could go and see it. Part of me wants to go and see it just to go, what on earth is this? The other part is like, do I want to give these people money? So if I could get a free ticket, I'm definitely there. Wasting, I say it's wasting. I feel like it's wasting $31 million when the Ark Encounter leaks. You might want to put some money into that and get it watertight, maybe. So I don't know. Maybe it may be a little bit of a waste of money. Who knows?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, every time, I mean, it's hard for me to take Answers in Genesis seriously, but
Right.
then when I do remember that glorious news headline about the flood damage to the ark, I just get like a little tickle in my spine. It's a hilarious irony.
I mean, you could probably spend the money on maybe some decent research or something. So after some of have you seen any of the Answers in Genesis sort of news shows that they do? Hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, well, I have not had the strength to like stomach them on their own, but I do watch through Apologia's channel. Love me some ham and egg news.
Yeah. I got to do a ham and eggs news a few months ago with Emma Thorne, another Brit. We did a British takeover, which was loads of fun. What do you think, Alex? How do you feel about them spending that much money?
Well, considering they spent tons of time in the 90s and 2000s sending propaganda to my parents' radio station, it's just funny to see them having that much money still and blowing it on stupid stuff while also still grifting off the taxpayers in Kentucky.
Right. I'm not a taxpayer yet, so I don't feel quite as bad. I'm still working on that and getting in the system. But my wife probably isn't very happy that she's paying for this ark that doesn't even hold water or attracts water in the wrong way. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, when I hear $31 million spent on a headquarters for this terrible organization, immediately my first thought is, well, why couldn't you spend that $31 million on like housing the homeless or feeding the poor or doing, Christ-like things? But I guess
one of the things that they said was they wanted to start a streaming service in there. So they're going to do like streaming service screenings inside this new complex, or new to them complex.
Oh gosh. Are they gonna start competing with there is a Christian streaming, I think it's PureFlix. Yeah. Are they gonna be competing with PureFlix?
Oh no.
It didn't say, just said that they wanted to start their own streaming system. So I don't know what that actually means for that kind of organization.
Well, that's fantastic. but I was just gonna say, like, my initial reaction is like, oh, how could you waste all of this money when you could be just doing good things for people and filling the good Christian trope. But on the flip side, they could also be sending that $31 million to super PACs or towards like pro-life organizations. So if they want to waste it on an overpriced like Toyota headquarters,
let's hope they've done an Elon Musk and they've bought something and gone, let's make this amazing, and then it just falls apart.
Yeah.
What's that website that happened to recently? Oh yeah, Twitter.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm not even on Twitter, and I've just been watching from the sidelines, just eating popcorn.
It's very amusing. Let's hope that Ken Ham does that with this Toyota headquarters.
Yeah, I mean they'll have to. I have to assume that the likes of Ken Ham and that whole pseudo scientists, talking about this young Earth and yada yada. Like I have to assume that, whether through their own incompetence and shitty investments or just through the passage of time and the spread of information, they will crash and burn one way or another.
Right.
So I think it's one of those things where I'm just gonna just wait it out.
Yeah. Let's hope the headquarters leaks as much as the Ark.
Yeah, there we go.
And everything gets washed away.
Oh gosh. Hey Alex, thank you so much for calling in about this. I could shit on Ken Ham all day, every day. Not literally, so.
Yeah, no.
Awesome. Well, fantastic, Alex. You have a fantastic night. Thanks, you
Alex.
again, and we'll chit chat again next time.
Yep.
He's a nice guy. I like Alex. We got to hang out the other day. He's sweet.
Yeah, Alex is really cool. He's called into the show before because he has a background in Christian radio, which is such like an interesting. I mean, the whole problem with Answers in Genesis and Ken Ham, it's not that they believe what they believe; it's that they spread that information and just won't shut up.
I've been conflicted in the past because I'm an atheist, but I'm also a professional voiceover. And there are Christian radio stations in the UK, albeit a lot smaller than they are here. And I've been asked to record scripts for Christian radio stations, even though the folks asking me know that I'm a non-believer. So I have to make sure that the information in the commercials that I'm voicing isn't anything that is going to affect. It couldn't be me giving false information. If it's like, come down to this place and join in these activities, that's fine. But if it's like, oh, the word of Jesus and the word of God is blah, 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 I couldn't do that. There's no way. I'd be absolutely conflicted. Not a chance.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good that's a pretty good like line to toe right there.
Right.
That's an interesting thing too, because I've got a few friends in the UK, and it's interesting that you still have the Church of England. You do still have sort of like a state-sanctioned religion, but Christianity and Christian beliefs and theology over there is very different than it is in America.
It almost seems like the whole church system in the UK is more of a ceremonial thing, and it's there like as a tradition. This is what the monarchy do, and this is the things that they have to go through when they they've got certain things going on. The majority of people that I know in the UK are non-believers. My dad, I don't think he necessarily believes in a God, but he's still got the spiritual side of things. Most of my friends, agnostic in the colloquial sense, not the correct term, or non-believers, completely atheists. I'm very lucky that I come from a place where I can be open about my lack of belief, and if it comes up in conversation, folks go, okay, and then move on and we'll talk about what food we had last night. Whereas if that comes up here and you say, oh, I'm a non-believer, I've had some very strange conversations being here and saying that I'm a non-believer, because where I've been able to be open about it in the past, it's difficult for me to not be open about it here. So if it comes up, I just blurt out, oh yeah, I don't believe in a God. I have one lady who was very sweet. She's got to be in her 70s, and absolutely fine with me until she found out I was a non-believer, and then her mentality towards me changed, only for a while. She obviously went away and thought about it, and then came back to me and actually said, even though you don't believe what I believe, we can still be friends. And I thought, well, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much that it's affected you enough that you had to go away and think about it and then come back and tell me that you're okay with me not believing in the same God as you.
It's it's one of those bizarre things. I mean, like I'm from San Francisco originally, and just like sounds like where you're from, not really a big deal at all. Most people that I know are atheists, downright atheists, and I think that a lot of that is because that city in particular attracts a lot of people who are running away from more conservative areas, and so that might have something to do with it. But when I moved, because I moved to North Carolina 6 years ago, and I've since moved out, but it was a huge culture shock, because you're right. I similarly was just super open about it, didn't even think anything of it, and it was surprising to see people actually be shocked and actually want to like stop and talk about it and be like, wait, unpack that for me, like tell me more. I'm like, well, there's nothing to tell. But it's a huge deal. And like it blows people's minds.
Another thing that actually jumps out at me is the signage that you see everywhere. Everywhere. That's not a thing in the UK. You drive down a road and we don't really even see billboards, but you see Jesus loves you, or God's watching, or something like that.
Do you know where you're going?
Yeah. All of these things, and it really jumps out at you when you're from a place where you don't see that, and it's everywhere here in Kentucky. So that's fun.
Yeah, I saw the same thing, and it was completely bizarre. And I think I do think that a lot of people, like I remember talking to some friends and asking like, yeah, what gives? Like, what is with all of these terrifying billboards about like
Hmm.
pro-life and and most of it was like a lot of like nasty like anti-abortion stuff, or it was absolutely about hell,
Right.
with like a couple Jesus loves yous like sprinkled
Right.
here and there, but mostly like a fire and brimstone approach. And it was interesting. Like it seemed like they just didn't even really notice because they just
Hmm.
grew up with that.
Right.
But
Yeah, it's so strange.
it's very strange.
I
I
don't think
mean,
I'll ever get used to it either.
no, no, nor do I think that you should.
No,
Uh,
no. Well, do we normalize having those signs around? No, let's normalize not having them around, please.
yeah, yeah. It's funny. So I know a few people that I've talked to are surprised that I got into doing all of this as
Hmm.
also sort of like a lifelong atheist.
Right.
Um, and I didn't really realize that was abnormal. But granted, like my foray into secular activism and openly talking about it does have a lot to do with moving to the Bible Belt.
Sure.
And I'm curious about, about you, my fellow cradle atheist
Right.
ish.
I actually, knowing that I was coming here, wanted to have an outlet because I knew that it would be difficult. I think I thought it would be more difficult, to be honest, and I was worried that it was going to be really hard to be an atheist here. I'm actually very lucky where I live, and there are a lot of progressive people around, but I still knew that I was coming to a new country that was very religious, and I needed some kind of outlet, which is why I got into YouTube and doing my SkepTick channel, because I just needed something to let it out. And I've been on YouTube for 12 years, but in a very different capacity. I did a vlog channel that has since closed down. I learned a lot through YouTube, but I said when was it? I started my channel last March, and I said to my wife, I'm going to start a new channel. It's going to be on this theme, because I want to learn about it, but I also want to point out why I have issues with some of the things that people say. And I'm not very smart. I'm not a smart person. So if a layman can't be convinced of all the God stuff, then maybe you need to work harder at your arguments, is my thinking. So I'm going to point out the silly things that people believe. And so I started this channel March 21, and I hit my 1,000 subscribers in January this year, and I'm just about to hit 25k in the next few weeks. So it's like I'm growing and I'm loving it, and I just get to talk about silly things that people believe and make up rainbow giraffe deities and leaves be upon her and all this stuff. So that's where I am. I knew that I was coming here, and I knew I needed an outlet, and that's where the SkepTick came from. And here we are.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I definitely need to get myself one of those shirts.
Yeah, they're
Love
cool,
it.
and that's where Leaf. Yeah, one day I was doing a Muslim street preacher was trying to convert an atheist, and every time he said the Prophet Muhammad, he'd follow with peace be upon him, and I was like, there's something in this. If I can make my own thing, that's people start saying, and I just one day blurted out Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe, who had been like a character for a couple of months at this point, and I said, "Oh, Leaf be upon her." And it stuck. And now that is almost like the catchphrase for my channel, completely by accident, but it's hilarious. So whenever you see a leaf be upon her, that's for Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe. Just a very random thing. And I can only apologize. I've accidentally started my own religion.
Oh, no, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
There we
Oh
go.
my goodness. Oh gosh. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting watching videos. I mean, it's interesting watching videos of
Mhm,
people trying to convert atheists. It's also
mhm.
interesting being the atheist who is actively somebody's actively attempting to convert you.
Sure.
Um, I have to, I know that you live in a progressive area,
Mhm.
but does anybody ever give you shit for wearing your "In Giraffe We Trust" shirt?
No, because I think I got away with this because it doesn't really look like it could be a religious t-shirt, and I've had people
Yeah.
buy them because it doesn't really look religious.
Mm,
But I have, because I like going to conventions, and conventions, especially atheist conventions. There are conventions in the UK. Atheist conventions aren't a thing really in the UK because most people don't really it's not, you don't have to worry about it. So when I moved here, my wife is so supportive. She's brilliant. She said, we're going to this convention in March. We're going to this one in June. She takes me to the conventions. But at conventions, you get T-shirts. And they're like, in your face. I'm an atheist. Hello. And I do wear those things. And it does get a few looks sometimes. But I'm okay with it. I was in a flower shop a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what to say to people because he was in his 80s maybe, and he came up to me and I was talking to the flower shop owner because I just like talking, and the man came up to me and said, "Oh, you're a really lovely man. Is that because Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior?" And I went, yeah, because he was 80 years old and I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to break his heart, but I wasn't. And I was just a nice person because I like to be a nice person, not because I feel like some person is telling me to be a nice person, you know?
Yeah. Oh gosh. It is tough, like when you're living in the Bible Belt and when people do sort of corner you there. And I before I moved to the Bible Belt, I did move to the East Coast for a bit, and I was in middle school. Yeah, I was like 11 years old and was already like a very opinionated, outspoken atheist. And I remember laughing in people's faces and not really getting the greatest reactions.
Sure.
But moving to North Carolina, like in my mid-20s, then that was a very different experience where there were those times when you do just sort of have to just skirt by, let it go, just pretend for a minute. My first job was actually as a waitress, and I had this table that was really, really nice. It was this really lovely couple, and they could tell that I was not from North Carolina. And so when I let them know that I just moved here within that month, they asked if I had found a church yet. And I said no, but I've been going to practice yoga and going on hikes. Those are kind of my churches. And I walked away. This was at the end of their meal. And so I just grabbed their credit card. And as I walked away, I was like, oh crap, like there goes my tip.
Oh yeah.
So I came back, and I'm not proud of this, but I understand why I did it. I asked them if they had any churches that they would recommend to me when I got back. And yeah, that was definitely me being selfish, but also, I mean, their faces lit up. They got so excited because they actually helped build a church in our community, and so
Right.
it was they were very kind, but
Hey, look,
yeah,
you've got to look out for number one. You're fine. Do it.
yeah. And really, in America, I know that we've got, white evangelical Christianity all over the
Sure.
place, but who's really God? It's capitalism. So.
Sure. There you go. Well done.
Oh, which speaking of, I forgot to point out that you were getting roasted in the comments earlier.
Was
for
I
saying,
really?
Yeah, for saying soccer and not football.
Oh, do you know what? Okay, I've been here for just over a year, and my vernacular is really changing. It's not. My wife hates it when I say the American words because she's like, "I married a British man. I want you to sound like you're British." But all the people that are here are American, and they don't know what I'm saying when I say certain words. So I just changed the words for everyday conversation because it just makes it easier. I know that it's football. And actually today, whilst I was at the pub, I was saying you should be calling it football. Look, they're using their feet. But in everyday conversation, I'm sorry. I say trunk. I still say rubbish bin. So, give and take.
I feel like there's some places around the country where I think people do say rubbish
I guess so.
bin.
Yeah, fair. But it's trash can. I don't know.
Yeah, rubbish bin is sounds much more finessed than trash can. So
yeah, right.
I'll give you that one, but I'll never say garage.
Garage, yeah,
No.
garage. My stepdaughter, bless her, since I pointed it out, she now says Tuesday instead of Tuesday. So it's spreading. I say things like they do, but they say things like I do, so it's fine.
Oh gosh, there you go. I saw there was a comment that I saw a second ago, and I have yet to find it. There's somebody who was saying that they didn't want to bore you with philosophy talk if it's not your jam.
I am not philosophical.
Okay, good.
You can try me, but I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
barely anything. I point out some silly things sometimes, but don't get me on philosophy because I'll start drooling. I'll have no idea what's going on anymore.
Yeah. That was the only class that I failed in college.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. Don't get me on
Okay.
that. There are
Okay.
so many fantastic secular YouTubers who will just put me to shame. So
Right.
I'm save that conversation for another time, please.
My wife she's incredible. I learn way more about all of this from her because she reads everything. And I think actually since I've been here and I've got my YouTube channel, so I'm putting out content. She kind of reads a lot about stuff and she'll just come out with some stuff sometimes. Did you realize this? And have you seen this? No, she would be great for that conversation. We'll get her on.
Boom. There we
There you
go. Yeah. Getting the show lined up for next year.
There you
Perfect.
go. Done.
Yeah. So, I know that you've been on making stuff for 12 years now.
Yeah. But only this channel for just over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, I know that you started it as sort of just your own escape and sort of like an expected reprieve from
Right.
moving to Kentucky. Were you surprised when it started just kind of blowing up?
Yeah.
And was it kind of like one of those overnight things, or was it sort of a slow trickle?
No, it was. I went from 1,000 to 10,000 in 2.5 months. It was fast. The reason I got into it the way I did, I watch YouTube. I consume YouTube. I love it. I watch folks like Simon Dan, who's a flat Earth debunker. I'm not smart enough to debunk flat Earth. I've tried, not very good at it. I watched him, but I loved his style, and I love how he just took a video and interjected. And I was like, I could do that. Matt Dillahunty, great. Big fan of his. Again, I'm not smart. I sound smart because I'm British. That's the only thing I've got going for me. And I'm very aware of that. So I'll use that to my advantage. But so I was watching these folks and I was like, I'm gonna start making this content. And it took 9 months to get from 0 to 1,000 subscribers. I did do a video, Simon Dan, I covered him. He was getting whacked by Kent Hovind. Everybody loves Kent Hovind. No. And I was sticking up for Simon Dan, and he saw the video. And at the time I had like 400 subscribers. He saw the video and he's like, I love what you've done here. Would you mind covering one of my videos? I take 2 weeks off every 6 months. Would you be one of the content creators that covers for me? I was like, yes, come on. I was so excited. I found a video and it got posted on the 19th of January, I think. And I just hit 1,000 subscribers. I hit my 4,000 watch hours. So I was like, oh, good. I'm going to start making a couple of dollars every month on YouTube. And then I went to bed with 1,014 subscribers that night. And Dan posts on UK time, so I would wake up and the video would have been live. I woke up and I'd gone to, I think I was at 4,000 or something when I woke up the next morning. I'd gone to like 3,000. I'd had 3,000 subscribers overnight. And then my videos, all of them just started getting views and views and views. And I just started climbing. And some months I'll have like 300,000 or 400,000 views. And other months I'm only like 150 to 175,000 views. But it's a lot compared to me getting like 10,000 views a month, which is what I was getting. So yeah, it literally happened overnight and then just started growing and growing and growing. And I consumed YouTube. I was watching how to like continue the trends. I haven't nailed it. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I've kind of worked it out how to make videos keep growing. So I do okay now. I think next year it'll be my full-time income. I'll be a full-time YouTuber hopefully by the end of next year. That's what I'm hoping for anyway, because I really just enjoy doing it. And I only do one video a week. It's not like it's a lot. But I spend all week working on my video. So on a Monday, I'll find new content. On a Tuesday and half of Wednesday, I'll write the script and then record it on a Wednesday evening and then edit Thursday and Friday. Bless her, she puts up with a lot, my wife. She'll come home from work and I'm like, oh, just give me another hour and I'm just going to edit this. I'm just going to finish this. But I absolutely love it. And long may it continue because I just have so much fun doing it. Sorry,
That's
that was a lot. I just
No.
blurted then.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm so stoked for you. And I'm so glad that it's something that you just really just are having fun doing. I think that
Right.
sometimes when you start getting like lots of views or more attention, it can be really easy to sort of like turn in on yourself and become
Right.
very self-conscious. It's not, making goofy videos anymore just
hmm
for yourself, but you're like,
Right.
oh, there's some pressure here. There's people who are
Yeah.
really going to see, and like, what are they going to think and what are they going to say? And so it's really, really nice that you can just sort of lean into just the joy of just doing it.
Right. The only trouble is with having more people watching is I do say some silly things sometimes. And I know that I could probably articulate myself slightly better. And then people point that out that I didn't quite say something right. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. But hey, this isn't an educational thing. This is just some random guy on the internet who points out why he doesn't believe these things. I like to think of myself as like one of the first steps on YouTube for people who just need a bit of confirmation that they're going down the right path with their non-belief. Like if this guy here says he doesn't believe for X, Y, and Z, maybe that's why I don't as well. Now I'm going to go and look at your Dave Warnocks and see like some real deep dives into why you shouldn't believe X, Y, and Z. I'm just the first rung on the ladder is what I like to think of myself as.
Not to be one of those people who says, "Hey, I've got a brilliant idea for you."
But right, I'm listening.
But I think it would be so fantastic. I mean, you've already got the cartoon characters.
Right.
You've got the giraffe. Have you thought about actually making first steps for skeptics with kids books?
That is actually a genius idea. Genevieve, do you need to take like 10% of the profits from this because it was your idea?
No, but if you ever need help with it, I just made
That's
a comic
genius.
today. So let
Did you
me
really?
know. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
actually a really good idea. And I've wanted to get into some kind of book. I keep talking about the book of Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe, and I do want to make my own Bible where it's like the whole lore of Lisa and take all the ridiculous points and make it over the top ridiculous with a giraffe that did everything. But I'm like, I find it fascinating. I've got an 8-year-old stepdaughter, and she uses her mind, and she asks such amazing questions. She's a non-believer as well. And bless her, for a kid in Kentucky being a non-believer, that's very difficult because kids can be mean when they don't believe, or when someone doesn't believe what they believe. But that's a really genius idea. If I could make some kind of kid-friendly step-by-step, that's Genevieve, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing. Okay.
Yeah. Let's definitely talk more about this because I mean, I think that there's a few directions that you could go with it because you
Mhm.
could absolutely just point out the absurdities of
Yeah.
religion in a very goofy, silly way. But
Mhm.
then at the same time, there could also just be a lesson about how it does not matter what
Right.
you believe, and it's okay to believe nothing, and
Yeah.
have that sort of classic good morals that you want to teach kids anyway, or that
Right.
when I was a kid, my mom told me, I was very, very young when she told me that kindness and honesty are not religious virtues.
No.
And yeah, we need more books for the little heathens out there.
That's true. That's a great idea. Okay, we're on this.
Yeah. Let's definitely do it. We do have another call
Oh, cool.
from a regular of ours. Another one. We got Tiger. Him in Colorado. And he wants to know what you think the difference is between English Christians and American Christians.
Oh,
Let's see.
okay.
Ah, Tiger, you there?
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up? What's up, Steve?
Hey, how's it
Pretty
going?
good, sweetie. How you doing?
Pretty good, honey bun. How you doing?
Honey, but wow, what's going on here?
I'm
Do I
doing
need to?
great.
Want to just take me out of the screen a
What's
second?
this little game we got?
Yeah. No, Tiger.
Yeah, I
if
just
you
wanted
give me
to
some of the pet names, I will dish them back.
What's
continue.
the biggest difference you notice between Christians in England and America, and what are the big peccadillos that you see? Like, what things drove you crazy about the ones over there and the ones over here?
Okay. The main difference is how much they talk about it. Christians in the UK, they just keep it to themselves. there's no even Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on doors isn't very common. I saw in my entire 38 years living in the UK, I saw 4 Mormons. 4. So that's
Wow.
and there was a Mormon church in the town where I used to live. I saw 4. They tend to be, it's a very different way of life for Christians in the UK. They tend to be very quiet people and keep themselves to themselves, and they dress like they do dress a certain way, like just very conservative. You can spot them, but there's not a lot of them. I do have some friends who are believers in the UK, but they just don't talk about it. Whereas over here, if you're a believer, you let people know. That's the big difference. And what was the other part of the question?
Yeah, do you find anything?
Do I see? What was that? Sorry.
Oh, do you find it more annoying to have American Christians or English Christians? Because I've been to England a lot.
Right.
And I don't mingle. It's like you say, I don't mingle with you're absolutely right. I never mingled with a Christian when I was over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People don't just walk up to you and let you know.
Right. I don't want to be rude about the people here because I live in their country, but it is fairly annoying how in your face it is, and how much church is even spoken about. I was with a lady yesterday. It was actually the same lady who said she was okay with me being a non-believer after a couple of days of thinking about it. And she was telling me how she was in her church and how amazing her church is because she could play a song on a piano and then record it. And I was like, well, this doesn't benefit my life in any way. Thank you. It's great that you got to play a piano in a church, but I didn't need that information. So yeah, it is very in your face, and it is annoying. Sorry, America.
I have to
No,
wonder.
that's what I think they're assholes. So it's not a big deal.
Right.
Tiger.
Hey,
I do
Genevieve,
wonder. Yes,
Genevieve,
Tiger.
let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When are you gonna get a new intro song? That sounds like Amish porno music.
Oh wow.
Every time I hear it, I swear I love the show.
I thought
But that's
Tiger,
what it sounds like.
I thought that I cleared my browser history. Thank you very much.
I used to be in a
He doesn't have
jazz
enough money
band.
to pay for eggs and milk.
What? I used to be in a jazz band, and the one of the leads in the jazz band recommended a band called Tower of Power, and when that intro song came on, all I could think about was Tower of Power, one of the greatest bands I've ever listened to in my life. So I'm all for the intro. Sorry, Tiger, I like it.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
you talking about the Taylor brothers?
I don't know who they are.
I don't know. Well, for the record, Tiger,
They're
I love our
beautiful,
intro
man.
music, but we
groove.
are
I groove on them, man.
we are also now that we have our show streaming on all the places where you can get podcasts. Oh, another housekeeping. Yeah, we've got that. So we do have other intros in the works, because it doesn't really make sense when you just have the instrumentals and no visuals.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
So we're working on that.
No,
But
I mean,
Tiger,
I get it, sweetie, but it's just like, that's what I think of when I hear your intro. So,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's good for me in one way, but thanks, guys. Hey, take care, man. I hope you like it over here.
Oh, I love it. I love it here.
Sweet cheeks. Have a good one. Bye, Tiger.
I felt like I was in the way then. I'm sorry.
No.
John just got very awkward because.
Oh, Tiger. Here's a funny guy. He's a character, and but also I hate that my train of thought is just gone now, because now I'm wondering, how can you film Amish porn without the camera?
Oh, that's true. Well, they're allowed to use those like old Victorian cameras now, right? Because no, isn't it Mennonites? See, this confuses me. Because I live in a place where there is an Amish community, but also Mennonites are like a step in between. Is that right? Is it
Yeah,
Mennonites?
well, yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of like Amish subcultures because
Sure.
I'm not too far from the Pennsylvania border, and there's a pretty big
Okay.
Amish population. But when you get into Mennonites and everything, there's definitely a spectrum there. There are
Yeah.
people who are like very much fundamentalists, like
hmm
no cars, no phones, like screw all of that. And then there's
Right.
others where it's like, yeah, we can live in the suburbs and have
Wear
mixed
tennis
cloth.
shoes. Yeah.
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 So
Okay.
it is a spectrum, but um
You're
I
like, I
I
need to
wish that
change this music.
no, I was just saying I wish that I didn't have like a music editing software on my computer because now I'm absolutely gonna turn some like yakety sax into something really funky.
Right.
Oh
Okay.
gosh. Anyway, moving on. A question that I was going to ask
Mhm.
when Tiger was on the phone was, I wonder how much the difference between Christians in the UK and Christians in America has nothing to do with the religious beliefs themselves, but more so just do with the cultural
Sure.
differences.
Yeah,
Because when
community and
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
because if I were to just generalize, this country and your country,
Mhm.
I would say that yeah, we tend to be very loud and opinionated and brash and outspoken and in your face.
Right.
Um, and in the UK, you guys are very quiet and love to queue and are very polite.
Well, you
Unlike
that's not how it is. Brits are loud. Brits like to drink as well.
yeah,
And
I was gonna say with a big
Mhm.
asterisk around like
Sure.
football games and pubs
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And that was another thing. And it's not on a belief system, but the culture for drinking in both countries is so different. What I would have in the UK might be classed as being an alcoholic in this country, whereas it's just casual drinking over there. Like, 2 or 3 drinks a week, and suddenly over here you're getting judged for having one a week by certain people. My wife is very understanding. She knows that I'm British and I just like to have a drink every now and then.
yeah.
But yeah, but it's that culture is massively different as well. But Brits are loud. When you get a group of Brits in the pub, they're loud, and I'm loud when I go to the pub down here. And bless them, they have to put up with a lot of noise.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting too because like with American drinking culture,
Mhm,
I feel like it's way less normalized as part of just your daily life. We
mhm.
don't A lot of people don't, have a pint when they're on their lunch break
Sure.
or, go to soccer games in like the early morning or what
Right.
have you. But, at the same time, like I feel like we have just like a very big, just like party hard binge drinking culture
Right.
that's way less just naturally integrated into our daily lives.
Right.
So it does become a much bigger deal when you go hard. It's
Mhm.
way less, it's not built into our culture necessarily to
Right.
be responsible drinkers.
Right. Yeah, and
Um,
that's the difference. It's just a perceived responsibility, because I know loads of folks here that drink exactly the same way as folks back home would, and it's classed as being irresponsible in one place and responsible in another. So it's all about perception, really, isn't it?
it is, and also, England's much more walkable, at least in the cities, than
That's
Kentucky, I'm
true.
sure.
Oh my word, that's something I've struggled with coming here, because there are no sidewalks, paths, pavements in the neighborhood that I live in. Whereas back in the UK, I could walk out of my front door with my dog and I would be in nature, and I'd take a sidewalk somewhere and I would be like 5 minutes from my house and have places to walk. Whereas here I have to drive to go and take my dog for a walk. It's such a different way of doing things.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
hard.
it is. And that's not even so much nationwide as it is absolutely just like urban versus
Sure.
suburban and rural. Because San Francisco, I'm very proud of my hometown, and I believe that we
Right.
have the largest amount of national park land within city limits of
Oh, cool.
any city in the country.
That's
So yeah,
cool.
I could literally walk out of my apartment,
Mhm.
run 3 miles on the beach, and hop on a subway and get
Right.
downtown in 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
You didn't need a car for
Sure.
anything, and so it is a big culture shock
Mhm.
moving somewhere where to go to the grocery store, you can't just walk down to the corner store.
Right.
You have to like
Yeah.
drive somewhere, and no wonder people complain about gas prices.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's true. That is, and yeah, I have to drive even to go downtown. It's not walkable. Whereas if I wanted to go and get some milk back in the UK, I'd be 5 minutes from my house walking, and I'd find somewhere with milk.
Yeah.
5 minutes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
miss it. I miss that.
Yeah. I definitely do too. I'm in a much more walkable area now than I was in North Carolina, but it's
Right.
still not perfect. But
Right.
yeah, the long story short of it is I think that has definitely a lot to do with whether or not your drinking habits are responsible or not responsible.
Sure. That was a long way round.
Yeah.
We got there in the end.
Bringing it full circle. Yeah. So it's funny. So I know that you mentioned that you started this whole channel sort of like in preparation, like, got to shore yourself up because you're moving like into the belly of the beast, the Bible Belt, Kentucky.
Right.
And yet you've been so pleasantly surprised. And I have to ask what it was specifically that you were expecting. Like when you get off the plane and like leave customs, is it just going to be like holy water and crosses getting thrown in your face?
I part of me did feel like that. Yeah. And when I first moved here, I didn't know anybody other than my wife, and I couldn't rely on her to be my social life because she has a life as well. So I put a post out on Facebook and said, look, I'm new here. These are my interests. Anybody want to meet up, or I'm happy to meet people. And probably 80% of it was, come and join my church. And that is what I was expecting. But since that one post, I haven't had anybody ask me to go and join them at their church. And so that's the pleasant surprise that I've been left alone. I have made a few Facebook posts where I've been just not having a great day, and I've said some things and gone, I'm atheist and I don't believe this because I feel like I made some people move out of my neighborhood because they are quite religious. And I'm not kidding, within was it 3 days of me posting that I was atheist, they'd put up that their house was for sale. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe they have moved because of me. I don't know. I'm really concerned that these poor people who are lovely have now moved away because they were living near to an atheist.
Well, at the end of the day, maybe it makes everybody more comfortable. If they're that, if they were that uncomfortable living next to somebody who just believes differently, then it doesn't sound like you'd want to really be their neighbors too much anyway.
No.
But
But
it is a shame.
That was the only that was what I was mostly worried about, how people would react to me being a non-believer and being invited to church a lot, which hasn't happened. So I'm fine.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I think for the religion sort of came second for me when I moved to the Bible Belt.
Right.
The first was absolutely politics.
Right.
Because I had no problem shutting my mouth if somebody asked me about religion, but when it came to voting and politics and all of these different issues, that was my wheelhouse. I didn't really dive into what's going on with evangelical Christianity in America until after I got into some very heated political debates and when COVID happened. And there's this weird correlation where if you don't believe in evolution and you don't believe that the earth is very old, then you believe that every scientist is lying to you. So why would you wear a mask?
Right. Why would you get a vaccination? Yeah.
Exactly. And so that was really sort of the big catalyst. But I've also found that people have been much kinder about my atheism than they have been about my being like a progressive leftist individual.
Sure. Yeah, right. It does worry me. I know you said about mostly politics, but it is worrying how much they do merge, because we had an horrific experience. And I say my wife had a horrific experience. We were pregnant a few months ago, but it was ectopic. And if she had been, was it 2 or 3 days further along, we wouldn't have been able to have had the medical abortion to remove a life-threatening situation from her fallopian tube. And that, yes, it's a political thing, but it's also very much fueled by religion. Reason, and that was terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
It's even, I guess I'm grateful to not be living in North Carolina right now, like I was before, because this year, the fact that what we said would happen had happened, and Roe v. Wade Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Mhm.
And
Right.
we're seeing that this is something that's getting voted on state by state now
Yeah.
because of those, like, and that's the thing. I mean, anybody should be able to have an abortion for any reason.
Right.
Their decision, their choice. But
Yeah.
even then, I don't think that they consider the situations like your own, which are
Mhm.
very common. It's not like
Mhm.
pregnancy is just a walk in the park. It is
No.
always a potentially life-threatening condition.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah, and to not have access to that. She was sick as well, and it was terrifying for me. And I've only just moved to this country, really. Yeah, I've been here a year, but what would I have done if my wife had not survived an ectopic pregnancy because of the lack of understanding and not giving women the rights to their own body? I would have. Well, I don't even know what I would have done. It's absolutely terrifying to think about. And the fact that we got lucky. I say we because she went through it, but we were lucky that it was found when we found it, because if we'd have had to have gone to another state, where do we go? Thanks for overturning Roe v. Wade, America, because you just made it 10 times more difficult for folks like us who need the treatment. It's not even that we wanted the treatment because we just didn't want to be pregnant. She needed it. And the fact that that could have been taken away if it was 2 or 3 days later is absolutely sickening and absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it is a huge nightmare. I will say congratulations to Kentucky, though, because you did just codify your rights was it into your constitution now?
I think so. And maybe I don't really understand politics or any of that because I don't get a say in it either. I just watched it all unfold, so I'm not entirely sure. But it was good news, is what I understand.
Yeah. It gets tricky because every state is essentially like its own country. We all have very different structure on how we do things, and so it's always a total clusterfuck. And also we've just been gerrymandered to shit, so it's just gonna get worse. So everybody, hey, if you can register to vote, please do. Oh
as soon as I can, I'm going to.
Yes.
As soon as I'm allowed to.
Yeah, but in that, I think that what really did it for me getting into the whole religion thing, as somebody who didn't, my parents were atheists. I didn't grow up with any sort of religion, and it was a number of things that got me really, really curious and concerned. Number one being, I had very close friends who I realized didn't believe in evolution, and that just blew my mind.
Right.
I was like, I've known you for years. Like, this is
Yeah.
the most well-established idea that we have in the entire.
That
You
obvious.
took biology, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you don't believe in this, you have to throw out all of that. So that was just kind of shocking. But then to also just see the trauma that would be inflicted on individuals from growing up with that mindset, that purity culture, and just the trauma of believing you're going to hell. And of course, politics, because I moved, it was 2016 when I moved. And so that's when Trump was elected, and it became, if you're not a Christian and you don't support Trump, are you really an American?
Wow.
And
wow.
I got into some pretty gnarly fights over that. I mean, I remember I was at a bar once and I got a death threat because I told somebody that I was a volunteer for the Bernie Sanders campaign and I supported Bernie.
Right.
And he said he was going to come kill me and my family if Hillary won. Yeah, like crazy stuff. And in 2020, I was a campaign manager working on a state legislative race. And I still remember on election night talking to these, Trump supporters in the tent next to mine at this polling place, and I said, hey, I know we disagree on stuff, but at the end of the day, we're still all American citizens. You're still my fellow countrymen. And they just got really quiet until one of them said, "For now."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was cryptic and terrible. And so it's just become, like identity politics has taken this completely different turn where, if you vote for Democrats, if you're not a Christian, then that means that you must be a, baby blood drinking, Satan worshiping,
Right. Yeah.
or demon possessed individual yourself. I mean, this is
Sure.
one of the many reasons why we're seeing such a rise in right-wing violence. And this is coming, from me as like, I'm a very white presenting person. Like, it's even worse for my friends who are, any sort of minority.
Yeah.
It's a really frustrating time to be in this country.
Yeah. And I chose to move here.
Yeah, I have to believe, I mean, clearly your wife is one of the best people on the planet. I love
Absolutely.
her already.
Yeah.
But also I have to wonder, like, do you miss the healthcare? And
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fortunately, and I'm gonna have to touch wood, I'm a fairly healthy person. I am on 0 medication, and I have never, other than allergy medication, in the summer. That's all I take. So I like no, touch wood, I've no mental health issues that requires medication. So I'm very lucky. However, if I trip and break a bone, it's going to cost an absolute fortune. So yeah, I do. It was very easy in the UK, and I don't understand why America doesn't adopt this system. Part of your money that you earn gets paid straight into the NHS, into a health service of some description, and it's not a lot. I think I was paying something like £75 a quarter. So that's what, £300 a year, which is $400 maybe at the moment a year. That's all I was paying. And I could go to the doctor whenever I wanted. I'd still have to pay for prescriptions because medications need paying for, but they weren't overly expensive. But if I broke my arm, or if my appendix was about to rupture, which did happen, it didn't rupture, but it was about to, they will just take that sucker out and you go home 2 days later and you pay 0 money for it. There is a system, and with, what is it, 300 million or 350 million people in this country, if every single person that was working paid $100 a year, that's a crap ton of money that could pay for a massive health service. I don't understand why they just don't adopt that.
Well, because there's socialism.
Well, yes. Yeah.
And also,
apparently so.
we might not have enough money to then just drop bombs on other countries.
There's also that.
But
You make some good points, Genevieve.
no, I think the real issue, besides just, 100, 200 plus years of just the big Red Scare, McCarthyism, just really, really digging our heels into not doing anything even remotely socialistic. I think really the biggest thing is that we have this whole infrastructure, these industries, health insurance industries, and all the various, I mean, a lot of hospitals and a lot of like ambulance services, they're all private companies. There is a huge, massive industry in this country of just unnecessary middlemen.
Right.
And when you get that coupled with lobbyists, it doesn't make it's I think that's probably a big reason why. And then the other one being that we just have this hyper individualistic idea.
Right.
That,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. If
it's all about me.
Don't get sick, don't get poor. Maybe you should have done something. Maybe you could have worked harder.
Yeah, shouldn't be so lazy. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard that a few times. Yeah, it does seem like it's, well, I need to look out for me. And that you get that with getting there before they get me, sort of thing. So it's you want to hold all your money and keep it for yourself because you don't want to help out other people because you need this money. It's sickening.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It is. And the funny thing is that, like, within the system that we do currently have, though, they don't realize that we're already paying for it. There's a reason why everything that we pay for at hospitals is so grossly overinflated. It's because they're recouping the costs of all of the procedures that people cannot afford because of this exact same system.
Right.
Yeah. Last I checked, I mean, it was a few years ago, I saw that like 58% of bankruptcies in America were just from medical debt.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
And that's probably very out of date because I feel like I was ranting about that like 10 years ago. So
Oh, wow.
it could have shifted, but.
And I said something about, I made a video a few weeks ago about celebrities and some of the silly things they say about religion. And Mark Wahlberg came up and he was saying that he saw a child was in need of some medical attention. So he added them to his prayer list. And I was like, but you're Mark Wahlberg. Surely you could just donate a little bit of money. What's the medical bill going to be? $20,000 maximum? And all my comments were then, you can tell you're not from this country. $20,000 maximum is not the case. It would be double, triple, quadruple that amount. That's how naive I am. I think that 20,000 is a lot, and that's all people would pay for a child's medical bill. But the point is, Mark Wahlberg doesn't need to add people to a prayer list when he's got all that money. He's worth like $400 million. Just give someone $100,000 to go and pay their medical bill.
Yeah. Even cheaper. If you could actually buy a lump sum of medical debt for pennies on the dollar.
Wow.
And just forgive it.
Mm-hmm.
You could just forgive it. That's actually, I want to say that John Oliver actually might have done that a little bit ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
One of the best things to come from the UK. Absolutely. So glad that we got him and got you in this country.
There you go. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I've been really doing a lot of thinking lately on how this this hyper individualistic, this sort of like American exceptionalism ties together with the way that we approach religion and Christianity in this country too, because they're very much intertwined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, we've just got to keep fighting the good fight and making sure there is a more of a separation as we go forward, and go and do some activist work and go and protest in places and help people where you can, but use your voice. We've all been given a voice, and use it and do what you can to try and help separate this monster that is religion and state. Please do what you can.
Yes, 1,000. Oh my goodness. I do want to say though, there's a lot of, I know that I and a lot of people, we can get really, really down and really frustrated and hurt and upset because people, because of the lack of separation between church and state, which with what we've seen with Roe v. Wade, people's lives are on the line. It is a very serious issue. And I do think that it is important that we still find time to laugh and sort of, find our communities where we can sort of joke about the absurdities of it. So I'm absolutely gonna watch the rest of that video. I want to hear the other quotes, but do you have any other favorite celebrity quotes on religion off the top of your head?
I got very annoyed in 2018. I remember it well. I had a lot of arguments with friends because, and this is on the same video as the Mark Wahlberg one that I did. Chris Pratt said he was at I think it was MTV Awards, but he was giving a message to children, and he said on national television, "God is real, believe that." And I got annoyed by that because a person in this position of power and people look up to him saying this, they're just going to accept it as the truth and not do their own research and find out if he's telling the truth or not. And I got really annoyed by that and made a quote on Facebook and said, I can't believe Chris Pratt said this. Friends who were believers back in the UK jumped on and had a fierce words with me, telling me how wrong I was. There weren't many. There was probably 2 or 3 that did that, but I wasn't expecting it. But I posted that video in the same video as the Mark Wahlberg one, and there are a lot of comments in there saying, "Oh, I think you can just leave Chris Pratt alone. He's just saying things." It's dangerous to say that sort of thing to 2 kids who are impressionable. We talk about indoctrination, but it's happening right there. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. Well, and Chris Pratt. I loved Parks and Rec, and I just wish I could go back to the view of Chris Pratt that I had when he was with Sandy Dwyer before everything else that has transpires.
I'll still watch Jurassic Park because I like dinosaurs.
Yeah,
But-
yeah,
but-
yeah. You gotta do that, and I'll watch Marvel movies. But,
There you go.
but
Yeah.
it is frustrating though that like it does
Mhm.
sound like something that's so innocuous, and like I know every time I've discussed my disdain for Chris Pratt,
Mhm.
I've had religious friends say like, well, you just don't like him because he is outspoken about his faith. It's like, well,
Right.
no, like it's not so much that. It is exactly what you said. It's that, he's not it's one thing to go up on stage, and thank God for an
Yeah,
award.
right,
It's another
right.
thing to sort of give a command
Yeah.
addressed to small children,
Sure.
especially when you are starring in movies that are primarily targeted towards children.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
It-
dangerous.
It is. And also like easy for you to say. Like Chris Pratt, I know that he had his glow up after Parks and Rec, but still, it's easy for you to say God is real, believe that when you've got those damn cheekbones in that job.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and this is why I don't believe, because look at this. This is why.
Would you believe if you
poor me.
looked like me?
If I looked like Chris Pratt, I might maybe consider that there was something. Who knows?
Oh gosh. And that reminds me of one of the questions that I never really know how to answer. It's,
Mhm.
people always ask like, well, what would it take for you to believe? And
Right.
and I've always just sort of defaulted to just concrete falsifiable evidence.
Sure.
That would change my opinions, but I never thought about waking up with Chris Pratt's face.
There you go. Imagine if you did tomorrow. Would that convince you if a god put Chris Pratt's face on your body?
Yes, but well, I
Ah,
say yes, but that still wouldn't tell me which god.
No,
And
no,
it
no.
also wouldn't even like it could have been a witch. It could have been
Could have been
some sort of
aliens.
aliens. I don't know if like a poltergeist can cast
Right.
spells,
It could have
but
been Chris Pratt himself. He
I
might have come in
know.
and swapped faces with you because he
I
thought it was funny.
also could be going through a crisis, and really I've had his face all along. And so
You haven't. I'll let you know because I recognize Chris Pratt and you don't look like Chris Pratt, so I think you're okay there. It's not that one.
well, this could also all just be a simulation. So
Oh, it could. Oh, you're right. That's
Yeah.
fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
It'd be a glitch. It'd be a glitch. But oh gosh. So I mean, just thinking about how your channel is just blowing up and
Yeah.
how you are having so much fun. I know
Yeah.
that you're looking towards full-time content creation next year.
That's the
What
plan.
what are you most excited about?
Do you know what? I'm most excited about being asked to do things. I'm slowly like I just got offered, and I'm now one of the new hosts on Truth Wanted. So like, doing stuff like that is what I'm really excited about. Going to more conventions, but slowly getting known as the floating circle man. I love going out and doing stuff like that, and just I'm a very social creature, and I just like meeting people, and that's how I've hung out with Dave so many times at different conventions now, and that's what I love. So going forward, I'd like to be asked to go and do some conventions, and that I have had a couple of offers to come and like talk about maybe the differences between America and UK when it comes to belief, and just point out some of the things that I've noticed. That's kind of what I'm hoping for going forward is becoming a bit more of a prominent member in the speakers community. Yeah, hopefully. Who knows? I'm not very good at speaking. I like to have a script. That's how my channel works. I write things down. I'm not very good at off the cuff, but I think eventually I'd like to be able to go and do some talks at some big conventions, maybe.
Well, I would say that you've been fantastic off the
Oh,
cuff,
thanks.
for the record. But also, you said it yourself. When you have a British accent, you can be as uncharming as you want to be. We're still
Right,
just,
and it just sounds yeah.
It's
I
just
could
lovely.
call everyone names. Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah, no, I've known that I've used it to my advantage, and the most of my audience is from America, and I think it is just because they like the sound of a British man talking to them, and they don't have to see my face. I hide behind a circle, so that's it makes it even better for them. If I look like Chris Pratt, though, it'll be a very different story.
No, oh gosh, I used to work for a British man, and I'm glad that the charm is worn off. He's a
Okay.
great guy, but anybody
It
who
gets
works
boring after a while. You can't. You can only
There's
like an accent for
it
so
doesn't
long.
make the yelling any more charming.
No, there you go. Okay. Well, that's fair. I don't yell very much, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to hopefully going out and being a bit more involved in the community. And I do want to go and do some protests and stuff. I'm friends with the state director of something for the American Atheists in Kentucky, and he's like, "We're going to go and do some protests at the Ark Encounter." I want to go there for that.
Yeah.
I want to go
Do
there.
that.
So,
And then also,
yeah.
let me know if you're ever in Washington, D.C. We have the best protests.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
done. Yeah. And that's another thing as well. It's just traveling the states. And I've been really lucky this last year. I've got to go to 7 or 8 different states and doing stuff in them. So more of that, please.
Yeah. I will say we do not have healthcare or separation of church and state or codified human rights, but our national parks.
There you go.
The best.
Oh, I went to
Beautiful.
Carter Caves in here in Kentucky a few months ago. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. More of that. Come on. Yeah. I'm up for it.
Well, I am so glad that we got you. I'm sorry that you and your family don't still have, NHS, but
Right.
Kentucky is that much brighter.
There you
with
go.
you shining in it. Oh, and Diane Horton, thank you so much for pointing that out. I was going to make a joke earlier that I never thought that Chris Pratt's last name would become an apt description.
That is true. Can you also, do you now hear that he sounds like Crisp Rat whenever you say his name? Like a crisp rat, yeah. Well, I've now ruined it even more for you. Every time you say his name, am I saying Crisp Rat?
Yeah.
You're welcome for that.
Well, I struggle with that because I love rats and crisps are good.
Wait, you mean potato chips?
I do. I threw that in there for you.
Thanks. I felt like I was back in England for a split second. Amazing.
Yeah. I'll ship you a bottle of HP sauce.
There you go. Oh no, I'm fine.
No.
I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Those are some of the things I don't miss. I do miss regular access to digestive biscuits. That's not easy to get hold of.
Yeah.
Some of my British things that I miss.
Okay. Well,
and a good bottle of San Miguel. That's a good beer that I can't get hold of over here. Never mind.
Yeah, I was just saying the biscuits I could help with, the beer not so much.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll find someone else. Thanks, Genevieve.
That's all right. Gosh, any parting thoughts, ideas, questions before we wrap up for the evening?
Just be a nice person.
Yeah.
Just be a nice person. Don't judge someone if they don't believe what you believe.
Yeah.
But unless it's the other way around and you're an atheist, judge a Christian.
Yeah. If what they believe leads them to treat other people terribly or believe that others are less than them, then yeah, absolutely. Judge away.
Right. Yeah, judge away.
Yeah, it's a tolerance paradox.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to use that. A tolerance paradox. Great.
Exactly.
Let me just write that one down.
Please. Oh, please. I mean, I did not come up with it. Yeah, but for a tolerant society to remain tolerant, it must be intolerant of intolerance.
Oh, wow. Okay. Great.
Yes.
I'm going to be watching this show back.
I will text that to you. I did not write that. I will find who to give credit to. John, I'm so sad that Dave could not join us.
It's fine. He doesn't like me anyway. He cancelled it a few weeks ago because he's like, I don't really like John. I'll just find another excuse. It's fine. His internet's fine.
Yeah, in fact, that's exactly what he texted me. He's
like,
there
you go.
This one's
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
No, this was lovely. I have not had the pleasure of going to any conventions yet, but I will. It is on my bucket list. I've tried to make them. I will make them, and I will definitely make sure to see you in person at those.
You shall. And my wife comes as well, and we can all hang out, and it's a great time.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you everybody for tuning in tonight and hanging out with us, especially while we were starting a little late with our technical difficulties. John, this has been so much fun.
Thanks, Genevieve. I really enjoyed it.
Last question. Where can people find you?
So I'm on YouTube, and I have a YouTube channel, and it's some people know about it. I'm the SkepTick, as it says there, the SkepTick, and you can find me. All of my social medias are the SkepTick in some form. There you go.
There you go.
Easy as that.
Easy peasy. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having me.
everybody. Thank you, call screeners, Ethan. I would say that is our show. Have a good